There's a number of advantages to organic food, and everybody has to put those into their own needs and their own frame of reference. So it's a better choice, but sometimes it doesn't feel like it's an option. So sometimes we have to find out why it's personally valuable for us to consider that organic foods have the value that offsets the additional costs that we have to pay for them. So when we eat food, the food that we take into our body, it's always broken down into nutrients or little particles, and those could all be classified as one of three things. They're either building blocks or fuel or something that can be converted or recycled into a building block or fuel, or rubbish, which is a waste product. And hopefully rubbish stays in your digestive system and then it's washed out and leaves as waste, the way trash should go out. But sometimes rubbish is absorbed because your body isn't sure whether it can be used as fuel or a building block. So it really isn't sure of it right then, or it's very small and it passes through the guard because it's not really recognized. And then that rubbish is called a toxin. Then it's in your body and something will need to be done with it to find a safe way of escorting it out. And obviously, the biggest benefit of organic food is that they have less toxins in them, less things that we absorb into our system that our bodies might not know how to deal with. So we tend to think of toxins as a poison, like a one-dose thing, like you take arsenic or something and you drop dead. But really these chemicals, they're adding up in our body, they interact with other things over time, and because there's really thousands of them that are being introduced into our environment, into the environment of the food that we eat, absorbed through our skin, they're placing a burden on our cells, because even if they aren't poison, they're cruft, they're junk, they have to be dealt with. And that overburdens our cells so that they can't attend to what they normally do. So the most common reason that people decide to go organic is there's just less rubbish that you have to deal with. There's other good reasons why you should eat organic. The first one is to realize that many of our modern plants today, the inorganic plants, they simply couldn't grow in nature without a heavy-duty chemical support of modern industrial agriculture. So these plants are extremely fragile and have no natural living vitality, oomph, and immune system. Because animals have defenses that we can recognize because we're an animal. So we think teeth, claws, if you're a human, sticks, stones, guns, all that kind of thing. Those are defense systems that prevent you from being eaten. Well, plants also have defense systems which prevent them from being eaten as well. And they also have to deal with things like an animal would. Like they're out in the sunshine, and sunshine can create damage as well as doing really good things. So they have to make antioxidants and things like that to cope with the environment. When we eat organic food, we take in the strength of that plant into us, how hard they had to fight to survive amidst all the other plants. So survival of the fittest has taken place in the plants, and organically, that's what we're eating. When we eat organic, we're eating survival of the fittest. So it's inherently more nourishing. We take that into our body and we're able to incorporate it, and then we're the fittest. Another reason why it would be important to eat organic when we consider what the value is. A lot of people would say, well, I would eat organic, but it's a lot more expensive. Yes, it is a lot more expensive for a number of reasons. The first of which is it's actually food, and food costs more than things that aren't food. So first we have to educate ourselves about how to tell food from food facsimiles. So when you're judging real food organic versus real food not organic, you're getting a lot closer in price. So when you don't have all these benefits, the reason why people grow non-organic food is because it's less expensive and people will buy it. That's why it's there. So organic food doesn't have as long of a shelf life because it doesn't have preservatives and either in the genes that have been added in or sprinkled on top, or however they're dealt with to keep it fresh longer. But really, food is something that was once alive and now it's dead, so it really shouldn't stay fresh longer. One of the indications that it's real food is it doesn't stay fresh long after it's removed from its life cycle with the earth. So we have to eat it up at that time. So we have to pay for that because there's a lot more loss, because these are going to rot faster because they're real food. It's also really hard for these farmers to be able to make a living eking this out. They face a lot of pressure from extremely large corporations that really don't want people around doing things like this. So there's a lot of regulations and things like that that make it really onerous. It's a real hardship for a lot of the organic farmers to be able to provide us with this. If we want to have this selection and availability, really the only way to do that is to support the farmers. And that doesn't mean going out and protesting for them. That means actually buying their food stuff and not saying, I support you, but really supporting them, because they can't continue to do it unless we give them financial support. So another really important reason to eat organic is that we show our appreciation and our gratitude for the people who are willing to work a lot harder a lot of times, fight a lot harder to provide us with these choices to have real nourishing food, as opposed to some of the other choices that are less expensive but also less nourishing. But again, value is something that you have to determine personally, and it takes place over time. So you might not want to go whole hog all at once. You just start the process, baby steps. Another reason to eat organic is that it starts to tie you into a community of people who care about their food. And a big reason why we have a hard time eating organic is we feel like we're out there all on our own, that we're spending money. And what's normal for a human being's brain is when we see we're doing things that other people aren't doing, we wonder if we're making a mistake. So there's always this little naggy voice inside of you is, I'm paying for organic, but you feel like people might be sort of laughing at you, like you're wasting your money on something that really doesn't make a difference. So when you start to eat organic, you start to open up your world to other people who care about these things, care about the earth. There's a lot of things to learn about organic farming, like it traps carbon in the soil by the natural way that it grows. So we can have a real effect, a real green effect, by eating things that were actually green because they have photosynthesis, rather than painted green because it looks like photosynthesis, which is what a lot of our vegetables are. They're painted green. Then when we got upset because we found out that they were painted green, they were genetically modified so that they changed color. I told someone the other day that carrots weren't originally orange. They were dirt or tan color. They look like dirt. They came from dirt, so people wouldn't eat them. But as soon as we changed the color of them to orange, that made a lot more appealing of a food because it didn't look so dirty. And so now we eat a lot more carrots for that reason. Did they lose nourishment by being orange? It's really difficult to tell. All this stuff is really brand new. All I know is that non-orange carrots, they're really not available. If you see carrots that aren't orange now, they've been even further genetically modified to make purple color or white color or some of these other colors. So it isn't what the original dirt colored carrots used to be. So hooking into the community is a really good reason to eat organic, because you'll start to learn things and you'll find that you have a support group around you and that you aren't alone.